Well, it's still going on. I was hoping they'd get a hold of this. I ramble through the surveillance laws. The police back me. The Department of Justice. Nobody could be in my home till Will took my statement that every cent cop talked today. It's a legal search and seizure. They're not funny. These people cannot break in a home and watch somebody. It's stalking. That Steve and Eric are wanted by the Massillon Police, and Eric's wanted by Massillon and Canton. November 24th, 21, 8:40 a.m. Massillon Stat Care on Wales Road. Officer in uniform comes in. I'm here to watch her. There's a Steve and Eric stalking her, and we don't know who they are yet. And it's finally got funny after everything they did. Nothing's admissible. No, it's not. That's what Officer Reinhardt. Don't you worry about a little thing until Will took your statement and agreed to protect you. It's illegal to be in somebody's home, and it's illegal to look and listen. And I said, well, they're supposed to put a shower scene in the other room. I don't care. I said, they're supposed to direct me and told me to say something stupid. And he's like, I don't care. Until Will took your statement, it'd be illegal to look or listen. It would be. Per Department of Justice. Who do you report? Anybody for surveillance in your home? FBI, ICE, local police department, and Department of Justice. Fourth Amendment, right to privacy. It's a legal search and seizure. Further into the law, police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life. Failure to notify for initiating and speaking to the other person in the home is abuse and misconduct, and failure to protect is abuse and misconduct and go into the right of privacy. So nobody could be in my home. It's illegal to watch somebody in their home. Then you wouldn't have to worry about the shower scene and the dark confessions and never talk to anybody. But Will the Cat and FBI did start a protected life custody case for an informant September 27th, 18, and a heavy-set officer within a day or two showed up at Walmart, made a public statement. I asked Dave about those people threatening her. He better not put his hands on her till I find out what's going on. Now, my one client in Navarre, there was a white SUV pulled in. Some officer told on us. Nobody was supposed to say a word. Well, they had to. They were leaving threats in the mall. It would have made their illegal made their surveillance illegal. Didn't have to say the FBI was involved, but they had to ask them about a threatening, or there wouldn't have been legal. So he's one of them. Some little kid's almost crying. It's not funny what's going on. I know it isn't. Okay? And he's out there, so he's one of them. Well, an ass went to Paymart the night before I called Will back. See, I told you. Dave, we're on our vacation September 3rd through 6th. It's the 5th. We couldn't even go to church. He had to have flower beds done. He's screaming at me. Okay? And he gets smart about wanting Katie Brothers. And I offer to take my things and leave. If you want another woman, I'll take my things and leave. Now I'll leave. Jack and I had this plan since March. And I'm like, you got something planned? I'll give up everything willingly. He's like, no, Jack said you wouldn't be willing to give up everything willingly. And we'd have to do it this way. Well, he's crazy. Okay? So then I get a job, and I get hired at Advanced America, and he has the district manager. Has me go to Dale Road on the way up there. She has me go to Streetsboro. I get back home. He calls me, why you're at the end of the driveway while I'm talking to my mom. And he's like, why won't you go in the house? He calls me up. What's wrong? Why won't you go in the house? And I'm like, Dave, you home? He's like, no, I'm at work. And I'm like, Dave, that's not funny. It's raining. There's no cameras to the end of the driveway. I'm like, Dave, that's not funny. I'm looking around. There's no one. And I'm like, Dave, that's not funny. You're at the end of the driveway. Why don't you think I'm somewhere else? He's like, Karen, you're at the end of the driveway. Why won't you go in the house? And I'm like, Dave, that's not funny. And he calls me, what's your problem? I'm like, what do you mean, what's my problem? You were meeting Pam. I said, who's Pam? He sent me another story. She saw me off. I hang up. I called my mom back. She's like, he's up to something. I know. So the next day I went up to Dale Road. Annie and the District manager sitting there and the assistant manager, Dan. Well, you know Karen, I've never met her before in my life. I said, you sent me to the other store. She's like, well, you said I know what I said. Well, they had somebody impersonate me. Cost me that job. She tries to give it back to me, and I tell her it's too weird. Okay. And I told you about with Sarah at Key's Jewelers. They were leaving threats in the mall. They had a permanent plan to do away with me. That's this. And she was scared for me. And they were telling me more than just Sarah. Okay. Let's see. What else? I was talking to Terry on the phone. I didn't hang up. And where I thought I was getting baby mama, because what do you do with $5,000 to $6,000 disappears from a safe? You pay off a pregnancy, right? Well, missed that one. And she's cleaning up her counter, and she has me on speaker. She's like, she's going to be here any minute. I watched this lady's kid for $10 an hour, and I thought, who pays somebody $10 an hour for one kid in a tiny apartment? Guy makes $110,000 a year. Right, baby mama. It's that one. She's like, I hear knocking on. She's like, Karen, I'll let you go. She's here, and she left me on the counter. It's not 5 feet from the door, on speaker. Guess who I was on the phone with? You're kidding. I almost tricked her into coming down to prayer, where those 2 guys would show up and take care of her. You know, they pay people to know where she's at. I could have used some money. I actually told her I would step in for prayer, as if I couldn't believe it came out of my own mouth. Well, that's about as bad as Kaylee. She used another minister because she said Keith charged too much money. Well, you know who was in the meeting to hire those 2 men to kill her? It was Keith Bishop, Strange, and Ron. And Ron wants her dead because and they took up $25,000 to hire those 2 men to kill her. Because Ron wants her dead because she got well there. His kid died. And I guessed when I hung up, I did get well there. His kid died. Had nothing to do with the death. His father-in-law, Phil, had his son, Tyler, and they were running late to a church baseball game, and they ran a stop sign, and a semi hit him. Later that year, I had been sick for a long time. I got well. Nothing to do with nothing, but Ron lost it at the funeral, screaming, laying his body on the floor. They had to carry him out. He was gone mentally. I got well later that year. Strange is a bastard. He told everybody I was faking I was sick. I'm faking I got well to hurt poor Ron while he was grieving. He's telling it 15 years later. Okay? And 8 years after that kid got killed, he's on Blaylock's pulpit of, I hate God for taking the thing I love the most, not to meaning my other children, but I hate him. Okay? So he's crazy. Dave grabs me in the middle of the night. I love you, but I love her more. I'm so sorry, Karen, you have to die for her. I hired a man to slit your throat, stab you in the heart, you'll bleed out, Karen. But I got a man to put a bullet in you if you run. For 30 minutes, he rubs his face into my body, his beard in my face, and rubbing my head and kissing me and squeezing me, and almost climbing on top of me. It was turning him on. He was not a vivid dream. He was very much awake, and after 30 minutes, he rolled over and thought it was funny. I was afraid he'd kill me with his own bare hands. Okay? Realizing the attempted kidnapping, the attempted carjacking, the following and rending, telling me to go a certain way, the attempted breaking, knowing what the security system was. They weren't random events, they were him and them. How stupid was I not putting it together? Okay? Now he's got me out in the middle of nowhere by myself. Okay? So I finally got enough nerve. I go to Giant Eagle. He calls me, where are you at? And I said, I'm buying something for dinner. He's like, I got a phone call to make. I'm like, please don't go. And I try to call him back, and he won't answer. I get my groceries, and I see they're giving flu shots. It's the end of September. I thought, I'll go ahead and get it. I got my flu shot, and I sat down because I got dizzy for a moment, and I heard, I can't believe she's here. And it's the same voice of, I got her. They try to kidnap me and chase me across the parking lot. I walk off. He comes up behind me. I'd stab you right here now if it wasn't for that security guard. And I freeze for a second. I walk over to the bank and open an account. The crazy Pizza Hut lady comes up to me. I get paid to watch her banker screaming at her. lady, stay out of it. She's like, no, I get paid to watch her. And the guy that tried to kidnap me, tried to carjack me, just threatened to knife me, walks out around me. And she walks off too. Now, either she called him, Dave called him, or Dave called someone to call him the day I opened my Huntington Bank in Ravenna. My bank account there. He's got the same Verizon phone number. Okay. He calls me back and I put him on hold. Okay. So, I won't tell him I know he just did it. I wait and leave with the group. Alright, so I get enough nerve to go down to Walmart. An African-American lady spits in my face, and her and her white boyfriend are harassing me. And another man with black hair, dark eyes, and an eagle tattoo comes up to me. What a shame. Just stares at me. Like a dead animal, and I get away from him and leave with the crowd. Okay. And Dave comes up to me. My girlfriend's rich and powerful. Her family owns a place you won't be able to withstand. I told him it's not a communist country. Nobody owns a place. So I called the FBI at him. I had bruises before that I couldn't explain. Orange size and grapefruit size bruises and hand marks embedded in my arm. And I still have a small scar on my leg where I woke up one day and I had a 4-inch cut on my leg. And it's laid open and I'm crying. And I'm like, Dave, my leg's cut. Well, maybe I got you with a toenail. It was laid open as white as a cigarette. I had to bandage it. I came out, they were drugging me with amnesia drugs before, and where I was getting sick on Dave's drinks. Yeah. He was roofing me. Tell me to say something stupid. Then defends me on tape, that's where it's priceless. And the police investigation will create it. From the Canton FBI. So I go fetal for like 3 days. It's not like me. Crying, I can't get out of bed. Well, I finally make myself get up, and I thought, I gotta handle this. I get mow the lawn, trying to get enough air in my face to think. I call Sarah. Will you witness for me? Of course, Karen. I'm scared for you. So I buy her a card for getting married. And I put Will's number in it, and we go out to Apostolic Church of Barberton. We go out to Kay's Jewelers. And she's gone, her manager still works there. She put it in her locker. We go on to Apostolic Church of Barberton. Paul Pamer gets in Dave's face. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. And he's yelling at Dave in front of 75 to 100 people. He looks like the guy from the cooking show. Okay? I walk off. I sit down. Dave comes in. Let's go. We get out in the truck. You call the FBI on me, and like, with all these people threatening my life, and what do you expect? I take care of myself, and there's a loaded gun between the council. I try to put my arm on it, he knocks it off, and he's threatening my life till I'm holding on to the door. Next day, I have to call Will back, and my head's spinning again. I only remember the what a shame guy. He said, I can't help you unless you have a witness. And I said, oh yeah, I already talked to Sarah. I left everything out. The attempted kidnapping, the attempted carjacking, the attempted break-in. They knew where the security system was, and the threatened to knife me guy. He could have got him at Huntington Bank. It was a whole different guy. And then there was the following memorandum being linked back to that church. I remember the what a shame guy. That's how far my mind was gone. I was being victimized on ungodly levels. I've never been questioned with Miranda rights. I've never been prosecuted. I've never been found guilty. And I don't think these people running around making fun of me. February 25th, 22 at noon, McDonald's on Whipple and Fulton Road, corner. I think it's Fulton Road. Said Sarah, right before noon, there's one of the goons from Ravenna. He walks in, he's an older guy with white hair ahead of me. I thought, I'm not afraid of you. I go in, he's running his mouth close to the register. There's some seats, the surveillance should have picked him up. He's like, her ex-husband showed up at a store in Ravenna. Okay? Told everybody he didn't want her anymore. And he'd been trying to get rid of her for a while. And nothing he did worked. And he asked everybody in that store to help, and it's been them doing it to her ever since. Some guy found out what she lived through, even though it was them doing it to her, and they don't even know how to fix it anymore. I told him he could go up and say hello to her. Some guy walks up to me, hi, I'm Vito. They're lucky I'm nice. It's like, hi. See what I mean? Michelle's mother, retired George Pete's wife, showed up Memorial Day weekend 2019, food counter in Walmart 62. For it's my daughter, her husband dates. He met her in Ravenna when she was having a stomach spell at a store. It's for my daughter. He did all this for it. They did all this for it in our family watching her doing this. It was Michelle Lauren. There's a heavyset blonde girl with big boobs and a pretty dark hair girl in their families and friends, and some serial killer named Henry that cut me up and put a chip in me. He's probably the one that he has to be some kind of surgeon to get a chip like that. And they have impersonated federal officers, framed the FBI for helping out with obstruction to justice and helping these idiots, and for hurting me. It's just the people in the store and the undercover police helping out because it's a retired judge's daughter. Yeah, and the guy that went to pay her was seen with 1260 Fairlawn. And when I tried to help some lady that said her husband got killed, they raped and tortured me. And the cop that raped me was seen with her too. That's how not funny that woman is. Yeah. They told Dave March 1st to 15th it's a real life case of 19 illegally bugged house 8:30, 10:30 at night. It's a real life case of how to get away with murder. March 1st to March 15th or 19. She'll realize it. They're selling murder and terrorism online. That's what's going on. It's just the people in the store. Do we understand? Those stupid young girls and their families. And the undercover police. Being involved for the retired judge's daughter. George Pete, he's friends with Ludick. They were joking around 9/18/19 in the courthouse outside my room. Looks like a little white Santa Claus's picture was hanging on the wall 9/18/19. Okay? And they're friends. I gave you the list of the people knowing I was drugged, I was photoshopped, and I was framed before. I've never been talked to unless you, been asked. January 25th, 2019, 8:30, 10:30 at night. Dave's acting crazy. The cops are at the end of the road. One shows up while I'm crying in my room. The police always knew she's innocent before. They were talking about it at the station. Some guy was bailing his guy out from a team. Said if she's innocent, I'll pay a fine or bail. Said the police already knew she was innocent before, and they'd never want to arrest her. They knew somebody else did something wrong before. That goes to December 9th, 21. White man bald with dark eyes was a security guard distributing food. In the case, he's distributing food at Stark County Hunger Task Force, December 9th, 21. Before one white man bald with dark eyes comes out. And he says it. We always knew the tapes before were them, not her, so we never said a word. Because it was the judge's kids. Mixed in with her family. I am Beverly Hills 911 bitchy diva girls of Ravenna. Framing and killing the wife with the undercover police and a serial killer named Henry. Yeah. I've never been questioned with Miranda murders. Never prosecuted. Never found guilty. My family spoke highly of me when I was with Dave and with Will at the Canton FBI. Starting a real protective life case. All the police know I'm innocent. They caught Melissa's kids lying on Thanksgiving of 18, and where everybody was followed around, they caught Melissa telling the kids to lie because she's friends with Auntie Shell. They're documenting them in games of pretend. These people need to get over it. They're trying to stall and kill me with a chip. It can be, I talked to the hospital. They said if they take the chip out, your brain will go back to normal. They're trying to stall. They're the hired killers. For the churches to got money to hire men to kill you. They're the hired killers. Somebody needs to do something about this. I never had to stay quiet one day, and if they wouldn't have drugged me up so I could have told Will when I talked to him, yeah, he would have took care of it. You raised the remaining quiet while they investigate. You already knew. You impersonated them, set them up, looked like they were helping you with obstruction to justice, and then drugged me up so I couldn't remember. That's bitch. That's very bitch. Amnesia drugs aren't funny. I've never talked to anybody. And Dave defended me on tape carrying. You're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids. When people are breaking and stabbing you with needles, coming up to you in Walmart, we always knew you're innocent. Don't you remember sodium pentothal tells someone you're arrested, and then they're telling people lies around you. You get your own witnesses. This is a cover your ass thing. All the police know I'm innocent. So I'll be like the investigators. What are these people talking about? The weirdos that stalked me and drugged me up before? I don't get in trouble for that. Someone needs to come down and help me. They mention illegal surveillance, you put them in jail. It's 5 years. It's not admissible, even the Massillon police. November 24, 21, officer in uniform comes in Massillon Stat Care, 8:40 a.m. I'm here to watch it. There's a Steve and Eric stalking her, and we don't know who they are yet, and it's finally got funny. After everything they did, nothing's admissible. That's what Officer Reinhardt Louisville said. I told him about them saying they had legal surveillance before I talked to Will. He said, don't you worry about a little thing. It's illegal to be in somebody's home, and it's illegal to look and listen until Will took your statement and agreed to protect you. It's only the special protected life case that's only. Per Department of Justice, who to report police agencies or anybody surveillance in your home, Department of Justice, FBI, local police department, and ICE. Under the Fourth Amendment, right to privacy makes a legal search and seizure. Further into law, police and agencies can only be in a home under threat of life. Failure to notify for initiating and speaking to the other person in the home is abuse, misconduct, and failure to protect is abuse, misconduct, and it goes into the right of privacy, a legal search and seizure. That's why Officer Reinhardt giggled. And that's why that Massillon officer was laughing. It's not admissible. Well, had I taken my statement, he had agreed to protect. And then that heavy-set cop didn't know that guy went to pay her either. Made a public statement within a day or two. I asked Dave about those people threatening her. He better not put his hands on her until we find out what's going on. He had to talk to Dave. Karen around the house state case. Well, the Canton FBI created it September 27th, 18th.